All right, well then let's jump into football talk. So the first major thing is Black Monday. The Monday after the final week in the season, all the coaches, all the GMs are at risk, and the ones that were in question, and sometimes the ones that weren't in question, get fired. And we see these guys go. When I say some people aren't in question, the first name that comes to my mind is Brian Flores.
Yeah, I mean, what some teams know what their ceiling is, but they don't know what their floor is.
Yeah, their Flores. So. Yeah. Man, they don't. So it apparently had nothing to do with football. Apparently, it was his attitude in the locker room and the way he treated.
I've heard some culture stuff with him.
Well, I've heard that that's the only thing. The GM,
right? Obviously, he could coach. I mean,
right? They thought he was a great coach, but they didn't think he was good for the locker room because he apparently had favorites, and he favored the veterans, and he treated Tua poorly because he didn't want Tua. He wanted Justin Herbert, and part of his saltiness was because he saw Justin Herbert be so successful, and he was like, "That's who I wanted. Imagine how good we'd be with that guy," which I understand. Imagine the Dolphins with Justin Herbert. Jalen Waddle did super well. He would have done even better, most likely. But do we know if Justin Herbert would be that good if he didn't have Rashawn Slater?
You can say, for instance, back to basketball, you could say Steph would have been we passed on Steph twice, but would Steph be the same player? Would Steph have been the same player in the Timberwolves uniform?
Right, without an offense designed for passing rotation that kept open threes and a coach that said, go ahead and let it loose. Yeah, and I mean, I get Justin Herbert had terrible offensive line in his first season and played well, so odds are he would have done well in Miami, but we don't have that as proof. We don't have it 100% proof. You can't say that he would be. So, so I was surprised about Flores, and I think the proof that he's a good coach is that the second he was fired, he was the number one requested recruit for coach for an interview for every team looking for a coach. Right. So he's going to get a job immediately, probably as a head coach. He won't even get down to D coordinator, offense coordinator, anything. He's probably going to immediately go back into a head coaching position. In terms of the Vikings, because, Vikings are our favorite team, I don't want him. I think he would be a great coach, but Eric Kendricks in that interview talking about, a fear-based organization. I don't think that getting in another old school, hard-nosed, favorite veteran, tough love type of guy. I don't think that doesn't sound like the guy that this team wants. They always say that when a guy gets fired, when a coach gets fired, the players talking in interviews will tell you what they want. They don't have to be part of it. They'll tell you what they want. Usually it tells you what that previous coach was.
Right, yeah, it sounds like Eric Kendricks, just the way he was doing his interview, he said it almost seemed like, we've got some bright minds on the team, as players, or our player base has a lot of smart people. And so we for instance would see things or propose that this could be a better way to do things, and that would just kind of get overlooked. And so when you got one of your leaders that wants to make a difference on the field as opposed to off the field, we got a ton of.
Since we mentioned Jim Harbaugh, it sounds like that is who apparently an NFL GM told the NFL Network and Bleacher Report that they believe Jim Harbaugh will be going to Miami. So that's part of the reason why they believe Brian Flores was fired. However, more information came out with the whole Brian Flores might be an issue with teammates or with players. Sure. I did want to say, so I thought about this before I heard about how he was as a person, or at least the way he was with players. I do think Brian Flores was underrated as a head coach. I think that he did a lot more with less than a lot of people expected, because when you look at the Dolphins roster, I don't know if they're could you tell me their starting front seven? Could you tell me multiple people on their front seven?
Cameron Wake, Kiko Alonso, no, David Howard,
Jason Taylor,
Dominican Sue.
I say that up I'm sure Dolphins fans, Mike's probably like, guys, come on, it's this and this. But when I think of the Dolphins, I don't think elite talent. And obviously with Waddle now and
Xavier Howard,
sticky hands, and their 2 corners.
Right.
They have some good guys there, but it's like those aren't players or positions that is like, oh, that'll win you the game. So the phrase that I always hear is turn chicken shit into chicken salad.
I hear that a lot. You always hear that?
I have heard that in multiple sports conversations. Yes.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard that.
Really? Yeah. You gotta listen to some. I also listen to a wide variety of sports people from all over. A lot of the people that I've heard say chicken shit to chicken salad are people that are like based in the southern United States. So maybe that it's just more popular in that part of the country. But yeah, so I've heard that phrase multiple times. Right. I think that's super harsh because I would never say any of the players on the Dolphins are chicken shit.
I wouldn't say anybody in the NFL is chicken shit.
Right, exactly.
Outside of a couple people, but
and I've heard Shannon Sharp's one of those people I've heard say chicken shit into chicken salad.
Sure.
He had to like censor himself because TV. So it's like you have guys like that are like, even though he was a former NFL player, I don't think he would call anybody in the NFL chicken shit either.
Sure.
So I think the true phrase of what I would say Brian Flores is he pressured Cole into diamonds. I think so. He took guys that, coal is a valuable mineral. It can be used. It's been used as energy forever, and it's super useful.
Right.
When diamonds are created through heavy pressure, the deeper they get in the earth, heat, pressure, all that, and you can turn a coal into a diamond with enough pressure.
Sure.
I think when we came out and found out that Brian Flores was hard on the players, especially the younger players, I think that metaphor is perfect for that. He was pressuring these guys into a state that they are not comfortable being. Like, yeah, it's in our moments of discomfort that we tend to find our biggest moments of growth.
Sure.
However, that isn't necessarily the best route for everyone. So I don't think the chicken shit to chicken salad is the best for him. I do think he turned these players, Cole, pressured them into diamonds.
Sure.
So he was turning guys that weren't necessarily great players into phenomenal players, at least for moments.
Right.
And then they maybe, reverted back to Cole, where they're still not bad. They're still useful. They're just not what you expect for a Super Bowl winning team, or a team that, wins 7 games in a row.
Sure. They won 8.
8. So, I think Brian Flores, and the first year he was there, everybody thought they were going to tank. It was tank for Tua.
Yeah.
When he started, it was tank for Tua. And then that didn't happen because they ended up winning a bunch of games. Obviously, they got destroyed, by the Ravens, like 56-0 in week 1 that year.
Sure.
And then after that, they actually won a few games and did well. And people were like, oh my gosh, this Brian Flores guy. I think Brian Flores is underrated. But younger people in the league, younger players, as the league continues to grow, the old school mentality, while it still may find success, might not be there for long-term success.
Right.
Because Jim Harbaugh might be, I think a lot of people would consider old school helmet-to-helmet football where they're running and playing defense. You get after the quarterback and you run the ball. And yet you never hear about the players, like his players
complaining. Right.
I like Flores a lot. I think Flores can get the best out of all your players. It's just, are you in a place where you're fine with your players, like not necessarily, he would probably be best in a team that's majority vets over rookies. So you got to find a team, one of these teams that are looking for a head coach now that are majority vets. I think one team that he would fit great on would be something like the Dolphins, are a team that would be like a strong fit for what he's
right. They just lost their head coach too.
But yeah, I think he'd be a great fit there. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to say about Flores. He's underrated. He does a lot for his players, but clearly needs to kind of get the human aspect. So maybe an advisor role where he can learn how to interact with players on a human to human level.
Sure.
Put football second for a year.
Sure.
Maybe that's what will turn him into a successful head coach again. So we'll see.